All right, in this set of videos, we're going to be looking at this section of our syllabus, derivatives of secant, cosecant, cotangent, arcsine, arccos, arctan. Remember, those are the same as sine inverse, cos inverse, etc. So we had our original trig functions, and we saw that the derivatives were as follows, and these are in our formula books. So now we're going to look at the reciprocal functions. So first of all, let's think about secant of x as being 1 over cosecant. So I can either find the derivative using quotient rule, or I can find it using power rule. And so dy dx is going to be -1 cosine x to the -2, and then times the derivative of cosine, which is negative sine. So that's going to give me my negatives will cancel, of course, and I'll have sine x over cos x squared. So we could write that as cos squared x. We know sine over cosine is tangent, and then that would leave us with 1 over cosine, which is secant. And so there we go. We have derivative of secant is tan x secant x. And this is another thing that's in your formula booklet. So we could go ahead and do that same thing with all of our functions. So sine inverse then, sorry, not sine inverse, cosecant, dy dx, -1 sine x to the -2, derivative of sine is cosine, so we're going to have negative cosine x over sine squared x, cosine over sine, that's negative cotangent. Let me write that correctly. Cotangent of x, and then 1 over sine is cosecant of x. Last one, cotan is cosine over sine, so I'm going to use quotient rule this time. So dy dx, derivative of cosine is negative sine, multiply it by the bottom, so we'll have negative sine squared x, minus derivative of bottom is cosine, times derivative of top, that's cos squared x, all over denominator squared. Well, this is the same as -1 because it's sine squared, the negative of sine squared plus cos squared. So we get -1 over sine squared, which then becomes negative cosecant squared of x. And all of these are in your formula booklet. No need to prove them every time. You can just go ahead and use them straight from your formula booklet.